Thank you very much. You're welcome to my channel. My name is Ife Bamidele and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is one of the international days that we celebrate. The United Nations International Day of Education, and it's a wonderful, wonderful day. Today is 24th of January, the day for which the United Nations are set apart to celebrate and to commemorate the need for education. The theme for this particular one is on investing in people and prioritizing education. And today on my channel, I'm lucky to have Dr. Hilary Okoeguale is my guest on the channel today. He's a scholar par excellence, and with education, is somebody who I know that is educated because he has an LLB, LLM, PhD from 3 different universities, and that also means that he's qualified to speak about education here today. And so I'm going to be asking him questions. We're going to be talking about education and the realities of education at this time. Welcome, Dr. Hilary.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. It's a very important opportunity to also share some of my thoughts about education. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Hills, before we continue, first questions first. Is school a scam? Is education a scam? First thing that young people are asking, school na scam?
Certainly, school not be scam. It's important to be educated. I mean, for the United Nations to come up with or set aside a day to celebrate education, and then to highlight the importance of education in human development, certainly school is not the scam.
Okay. We have about 244 million out of school children or more. People are not in school. In our country, it's a big challenge. People are not going to school. In different parts of the country, we're finding access to education difficult. For those of you who are human rights scholars, for people who try to protect people, what is the solution to out-of-school children?
Well, out-of-school children is a very huge problem in Nigeria. And recently, it has reached about 20 million children are out of school. I think it's a problem that is going to probably even lead to more problems, a ripple effect. So I think the government has to be very intentional when it comes to solving the challenge of out-of-school children, because the reason we have out-of-school children is because we have insecurity in many parts of the country. And for instance, even in Anambra, on Mondays, children don't go to school. Sure, that is enough to discourage people who are even willing to be educated, and that is just not to say the kind of insecurity and the internally displaced children up north. So I think government has to be very intentional. There has to be this political will.
What about cost? Some people say my child is not in school because that child cannot afford school.
Yeah, it still goes back to the government. That's why I said government has to be very intentional when it comes to solving education. And when we talk about education, we're not just talking about just going to school, the 4 walls of secondary, primary, or university. It has to do with quality education, and government has to prioritize its resources.
That's the theme, to invest in people and then prioritize education. But when people who go to school, they are not doing well. The person who refuses to go to school is the one riding the Benz, the Bentleys, the Beamers, and then who are going to school are asking questions about, is education still education? Do we need to be in school? If I don't need to be in school, if I go to one of the betting companies and I stake 5 odds, 2 odds, 1 odd, half odd, and I make money, you that you are a professor, I will institute a prize in your course and say human rights course for the best better in the world. So the question is, it's a challenge at this time. How do we encourage people to still confirm education as the pathway to knowledge or to a successful nation?
I think there's a misconception somewhere.
Okay.
We should not go home believing that education equals wealth. The education actually.
Today is International Day of Education.
Yes, education.
So one of the things that you can help us do is tell us why we need to be educated, so that we can. If I know that education is not necessary, I can announce to some of the boys in school or girls in school and say, "Go home, you will not be rich."
Yes, education. Education helps the individual to become more refined.
Okay.
It enlightens the individual. It gives the individual ability to analyze problems. It gives the individual ability to associate better with his his team.
What about shut down Lagos, shut down Abuja, shut down London? Will education get to a point where you'll be able to shut down cities? I mean, you will say, shut down this club, shut down that.
But we have some persons who are educated and are wealthy, but like I said, I choose not to, advance the argument that education equals wealth.
Girls and women in Afghanistan have had a challenge with education. In the last few weeks, there's been a discussion about whether they have their right to education protected, and the United Nations this particular year is focusing on women and girls in Afghanistan and their right to education. And I'm sure that there's other parts of the world as well where women and girls are finding it hard to access education. What is the solution in times like this?
Well, the solution is usually, when things are of that kind of scale, we usually depend on the political will of the government and also the interventions of the international community. The United Nations has even done quite well by dedicating this year's International Day of Education to the women and girls in Afghanistan who are denied education. So I think this kind of move would even encourage thought leaders, opinion leaders to advance this cause of education, especially for women. So we talk about it, share ideas about it, and we try as much as possible to instigate campaigns to promote the rights of women and girls in Afghanistan. So from
your own perspective, you are a scholar, you're a human rights person, you believe in education, that's why you are educated. You also teach people, you have taught people, you have learned from 3 different institutions, you have taught in other institutions, and then you want to promote education, but the education as it currently is flawed. So what is the future of education and way forward for education in Nigeria and globally?
Well, I want to agree with you that education is gradually becoming individualized. The process of acquiring education is gradually becoming very, individualized, so highly decentralized, such a way that I could access the internet and get certificates, and by the time we have quite a number of persons increasingly accessing certificates online, we probably will have no need to go to school.
But is it the certificates or the skills? Because it's interesting to note that people have certificates, they do not have requisite skills to follow up those certificates. A person has a certification from some polytechnic or institution in office technology management. That person cannot turn on a computer, but the person has a certificate. Then which of the offices are they talking about in 2023?
Well, what I was trying to say was this. Given the fact that certificates are available and people are able to acquire skills, some people acquire skills through YouTube. Through YouTube.
Like
you can acquire skills through YouTube.
Many people have said YouTube itself is a university.
Yes. But I choose to actually approach that kind of a lot of caution.
Okay.
Why? Because education has a lot to do with morals.
Okay.
And by the time we dissociate morals from education, we are most likely going to bastardize the essence of education. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the future of education, we should not begin to consider, access to education on the internet.
Breaking down the 4 walls.
Yes, we shouldn't consider it an ideal.
You think that
it shouldn't be an ideal.
Conventional schools should be preserved.
If we had universities, involved in education, and then they break down the 4 walls of school and allow it to be available to people from remotely, there's still some system of accountability. The point I'm trying to draw here is, emphasize here is that there's need for accountability.
Okay.
And the more we remove universities or formal settings from the process of acquiring knowledge, the more we are most likely going to remove morality from education, and that's what Mahatma Gandhi is very much against. That education without morals is an evil of today that we must avoid.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hilary. I appreciate your time. In closing, what would you give as advice to someone who is contemplating not proceeding with education? If there's somebody who doesn't want education again. The person is saying, I'm tired of school. The people who go school, they don't get money. The people that went to school or that are currently in educational settings are not rich. I want to be rich. I want to be famous. I want to be a celebrity. I would rather go to Big Brother than go to uni. What do you tell that person at this time? How do we encourage somebody?
It's a trap.
Okay.
That kind of philosophy is a trap. Never ever think that a degree certificate will make you wealthy. I mean, the reason you are going to school and acquiring a certificate should not be because you want to be wealthy.
But now, the young people are saying if it's not making money, it's not making sense. So
then they have to, check their value system, really. Like, if you really want to go, you want the inner person, your personality to improve, you want the ability to, deconstruct biases and, change your biases, reform your biases, then you need education. You need to interact.
Can education change the world?
Education can change the world.
How?
Education will change the world.
How?
Education can change the world. How? Because by the time education helps us respect boundaries.
Okay.
Education helps us recognize values, appreciate values, and
but we're a nation of educated people. Although we have out of school children, we have many professors, many learned people, many degree holders. Many countries don't even have as many as we do, but we're still a poor nation. We're still a poverty capital. We still have challenges with food, with daily living, with survival, living below the poverty line.
The reason we have poverty is not because we're educated.
Or that we are not.
It's
not because we are educated or that we are not educated.
Or that we are not educated.
Okay.
It's simply there are other factors, which includes corruption. Like, we cannot rule out the fact that corruption is really killing the system.
By the educated people. Corruption by the educated people.
Well,
who know how to
that's why I was talking about.
The more educated you are, the higher the chance that you're able to cook the books.
I was trying to say that we should not remove morality from education. Once morality is fused with education, I mean, those persons who are at the helm of affairs would not steal the money. I mean, morality would dictate that you shouldn't, take what is not yours or take what belongs to.
That's why most institutions, especially in Nigeria, will say that you have graduated and this person has been found worthy in learning and in character. However, I must confess to you that it's very hard for you to measure character. The indices for measuring character are very subjective. But today we will not spend the whole of the time.
Well, yeah, subjective, but then consistency is one criteria for judging character. If somebody is consistently in a kind of way, then you can safely say that's the person's character. So based on consistency, that's why once a person goes through the wall of school for 4 years and then there's some kind of attitude that is consistent, you can safely say that is the person's character.
Okay, to end today's United Nations International Day of Education, we'll say the theme again is invest in people and prioritize education. Invest in people, prioritize education. This message, I believe, is for the government of the day.
Exactly.
And for the people who are in leadership, that they should invest in people and prioritize education. And for me, it will be investing in people, prioritizing all forms of education. Make sure that there's at least some form of learning going on. While the four walls of the schools is what people like my friend Dr. Hilary are protecting, I am saying that education can take place anywhere and that we should keep investing in people and prioritizing education. A percentage of the budgets, national budgets, should be going to education, and that in people who are also private establishments who are putting their resource in education should be encouraged. Do you have any closing words or any?
Yes, I'd like to emphasize or re-emphasize that your degree, certificates, your postgraduate and all of that would not guarantee you $10 million in your account.
But I want $10 million.
Well, then you can go into business.
Is that you are very correct, and that is reality. However, the young people of today want to make more money than character. Thank you so much for your time. It's a privilege hearing from you, and I hope that if there's someone who is watching this who has something to say about education, who has something to say about learning, this is the time to say something. Give your comments, share, like, subscribe, and say something about education on today's International International Day of Education about how you think that education has helped you and how it can help other people. Invest in people, prioritize education. Thank you. Have a nice day. Share this video, like, subscribe, and comment. It's been a fun time having a discussion with my good friend Dr. Hilary Okoeguale. He's a scholar by excellence. I love his mind and his expressions. Thank you so much. And to the team that put this video together, thank you so much for making it happen. I do appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.